Hello everyone and welcome back to Java Forever course. Currently we are learning about functions, especially user-defined functions. And in today's class we will learn how to call a function from a main program or from another function. As I talked about it in the previous class briefly, a function is a type of subprogram. It is a mini program which still requires a name, it has a set of inputs, it returns you some output like any regular program. The only difference is a function cannot run by itself. It has to be called by another function or another program. For example, let's say this is our main program. This main program is going to call our function. Let's say this is function 1. This function 1 is another small Java program, but it will not run independently. I cannot simply run this and it will not give an output. It is a sleeping one. Unless you wake up, it is not going to do anything for you, right? It's a sleeping assistant. So you have to call the function in order to make it work. Even though you write the code, if you don't call this function inside your main program, Java will never execute this. It is going to be redundant. It is going to be sleeping. It is going to be a sleeping assistant or sleeping partner, which means the Java will never run this code even though you have written it. So in order to use it, you must call it. So let's learn how to call a function. Now, in order to call a function, it's pretty straightforward. All we have to do is to write the name of the function. Let's say, we write a function name, let's say x. And this function requires some input parameter. For example, this function multiply requires two values, n1 and n2, and both are of type double. So we must pass some values. Let's say 10.5, 12.5, because it requires two values, comma separated, you can see. And this function will return a value which is also a double. So in order to store that value, I may say double, and let's say x equal to this. This is how you will call a function. As you can see, when I say double x equal to function this function x, or in this case multiply, let me change this and say, let's change this to multiply. And now I can say, let's say multiply, right? This function multiplies two numbers. And I'm passing these two numbers and I expect function to return those two. Again, the name of the function is meaningful, but you can look into the function code here and you can see that it takes two parameters. It returns a double value. Let me erase this and you can take a fresh look here. You can see that the function returns a double value. It takes two inputs here, n1 and n2, both type double. And inside the code, you can see I declared an output variable, and I'm returning the output variable here. In between, I'm doing the processing. This is our processing, right? Pretty straightforward, multiplication of two numbers. But the way function calls it, you can see here, we're asking user to enter first value, asking enter to enter second value. We're converting that value into a double so that its string becomes double before we can do any mathematical operation. And then, most interestingly, we call the function. The way it works is we say that multiply and then we say x comma y, which is our x and y values here. This will call the function and it will return a value here called w, and w is already declared here as a double value, you can see. And then finally we print w. Now most importantly, when Java runs, first thing is Java needs to make sure that the name of the function and the function declared exactly matches. That means the function is defined in the program. Java is able to find that function. Number two, the input data types are matching. If it expects double and a double, two double numbers, we have to pass two double numbers here. Third important part, if the function returns a double, we must store the value, return value into a double variable. That is the rule of calling a function, that you comply with the function. The function is like, as I said, an assistant, but assistant can work only if we follow what assistant expects us to give. If you don't give the right command, if you don't give the right order, your assistant is not going to give the right value. If you ask, your younger brother or sister to bring a glass of water, if you are not specific about a glass of water, you may get something else, or he or she may not give you anything back, right? That is why it is important that we comply with the expectation of the function.
Thanks for watching. Do subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.